like the Zoom had an issue in with the VPN. I'm here in China. Is this my talk right here? Unit 6?
Yes, it is, Michael. You're all good.
Okay, awesome. So thank you very much, everybody, for joining. I apologize again. I'm actually at a birthday dinner, and I had to find actually a private room, which was very difficult to do. But I'm very, very honored to have everybody here. I got half an hour, so I'm just going to get right into it. Right? I think there's a huge opportunity here. Right now, as you know, COVID has devastated economies worldwide. We might go into the world's, humanity's largest depression in the history of humanity, compounded by this tragedy with this disease. And economies around the world are dying. SMEs around the world are dying. I do a lot of work, trying to build the digital economy story for developing nations. And so really, in my opinion, one of the things that would lead to the most impact would be to help all the developing world, and actually the world in general, to integrate together into a new sort of digital economy powered by using blockchain as the base level infrastructure of infrastructures to allow this ethos of trust and collaboration to really take hold around the world. Coming at a time where, you see what's happening with China and the US. You see a lot of misinformation, a lot of, pulling back from globalization, right? And I think technology could change that by providing a universal way for the sharing of data, information, digital assets in a trusted way, right? So the first internet revolution 20 years ago was about the digitization of information, right? And in doing so, you took a lot of offline stuff and you made it online and you gave it free to everyone. You democratized it, and all these new e-commerce business models come. Now we're doing the same thing, but now we're digitizing value, right? Anything of value, and this digital asset revolution is going to come. So the digitization will allow this whole, the world to actually get the new tools, which will be commoditized, to allow you to do e-commerce, to allow you to do cross-border payments, to allow you to do the trade facilitation, and all this kind of stuff. And it all boils down to the substrate. And so right now, as of 2 weeks ago, there was an announcement in China about China's national blockchain strategy. Actually, it was announced in November. Xi Jinping directly announced it, said blockchain was so serious, all this kind of stuff. But unlike the other 5-year plans, instead of it being something that the country says, oh, in 5 years we're going to be #1 in blockchain, and they get the whole country to do it in 5 years. In this particular scenario, they've already been researching and developing it. And on April 25th, 100 cities across China were connected into the first commercial launch of the new blockchain strategy, right? And what that is a permission hyperledger fork technology. It's a permission chain because China doesn't deal with public chains at the moment, right? But it allows now China to enact their smart city strategy, okay? Because basically China wants to be able to do the big data thing across different IT systems, across different cities and things like that. And now blockchain becomes this sort of backbone infrastructure to allow you to connect all the heterogeneous data bases together, linked by 5G, vertically integrated in cloud computing with AI and big data stuff on top, okay? And so the blockchain becomes a unifying infrastructure to be able to do that, right? So that's the national strategy. The partners are China Mobile, the world's largest mobile provider, has data centers around the world, partnered with AWS, which is now a partner. China UnionPay, the world's largest payment processing company, 8 billion credit cards issued. And a small company named Red Date, which is actually doing the blockchain stuff, right? The actual blockchain architecture. So Red Date actually, in many ways, is the most important because they created the architecture, and they actually, truth be told, masterminded the strategy, which they passed through China Mobile and went to the Development Reform Commission, So there's a department called the State Information Center, which handles all the IT strategy stuff. Got to Xi Jinping. Xi Jinping's like, get that done now. We need it yesterday. And so now it's been instituted as a strategy. So right now, as we speak, and this is 2 weeks out from the April 25th launch, is a 100-city node, the world's largest blockchain network operating right now. Vertically integrated. You can go to bsnbase.com and order cloud computing services from AWS, Google Drive, Microsoft Azure, Alipay, all these guys. Okay, already vertically integrated into blockchain cloud services. Okay, so within the next 6 months, this will spread to 200 cities. There's 100 cities of city officials trying to figure out, when China says this is national infrastructure, everybody gets on it. And financial, Baidu's superchain are already underneath it. Okay, so it's basically going to be the conduit by which all of the nation's future infrastructure, financial infrastructure, fintech infrastructure, smart cities infrastructure is being built on top. Now, internationally, this is also digital Silk Road. 150 countries worldwide, 2/3 of the world population, and 1/3 of world GDP. And this is where basically it's all going to connect to China and all its trade partners. Right? And so I think this is really quite massive undertaking. This is also coupled, by the way, with China announcing their own digital RMB, digital currency, which now is being test bedded in Xi Jinping's future city called Xiong'an. We're talking McDonald's and Starbucks and half a dozen other major companies like that are all testing the wallet, whatever. So there's going to be a huge release of all this stuff happening over the next couple years. Okay, China, by the way, also is gearing up to be the #1 early adopter of regulated digital assets. All the I work, by the way, as a professor at Fudan University, which is one of the top finance institutions in the country. So I run the FinTech Research Center there. We're working with the government to actually do some of these test beds. So we know about how the positioning is going to be. So sooner rather than later, China is going to flip a switch on digital assets, okay, which will digitize, as I mentioned at the start of this talk, the digitization of anything of value. And then what we're working on is digital finance techniques that allow new modes of public-private partnership so that we can get private sector money aligned with incentives through tokenization, whatever, to asset back, projects, infrastructure projects that can get funded, right? So instead of just China doing it in their kind of, I would say, not so optimized way, single-handedly funding through SOEs and also, not earning the goodwill of nations. Let's figure out new ways that we can use digital finance to create really true win-win public-private partnerships with the West and China, both working together to build infrastructure, digital economy infrastructure, digital Silk Road style for the future kind of thing. And what I'm interested in doing is, I have the ability now to help to build the fintech stacks on top of this blockchain services network, right? So all the middle layer stuff that allow the institutional adoption of these kind of digital assets, and also the new ability to provide financial inclusion tools to enable SMEs, let's say, or enable other institutions to conduct business in a digitized fashion, where now post-COVID, that's not so convenient, right? And so there's quite a few opportunities on the space. I just want to maybe end there and maybe have a conversation about this. It's about who has missing pieces of the puzzle that want to get scale on the Belt and Road within China potentially, and also has core technology that can be enabling for financial inclusion, for SMEs to really get back up to speed, and then eventually all the fintech layers on top, all the financial products, micro loans based on big data, insurance products to do stuff for SMEs and things like that. So we can put it all together, and I think radically transform the world with COVID as this sort of catalyst, right? And I'm very unfortunate, lots of human suffering, but still a catalyst nonetheless to kick us in the ass as a society, to really figure out new ways to leverage these tools, to be able to collaborate, and also to be able to be prosperous as well as a society, global society. So there you have it. I'll end there because I don't want to pontificate. I just want to set the stage, and I would love to get into a discussion about various people who might have different pieces of the puzzle. And I think I have the framework by which we can actually now really come together. You know, by the way, just as the last aside, I'm a business model innovation professor. I like to teach venture building. It's about getting superheroes to work together. Okay, some superhero has the technology. Some superhero has the industry, deep industry expertise. Some superhero has the government connection. Some superheroes are into operating. Some people do the marketing. You know, everybody has their own piece of the puzzle. And now with tokenization, digital finance techniques, we can actually now incentivize everybody through what I call a minimally viable, decentralized model where we can put together these projects. And I would love to talk to anybody who's synergistic with that vision. So I'll end there. Yeah. Am I talking to myself?
No, we're all here, Mike.
Okay. Great. So any questions, or if anybody wants to comment, or tell me I'm full of shit, I'm happy for any of that. Yeah.
Hi, Mike. Nice to see you. Quick question, and I think this is probably a bit of a challenge, but given that the blockchain at this stage is going to be kind of a China initiative, and some of the backlash associated with this COVID-19, there seems to be polarization. World.
Yeah. Am I losing you? I can hear. I understand your intent. Maybe I'll just answer. I can't hear the rest of you. Sorry, your question. Sorry, but yeah, of course. I wrote an article on this. I would be happy to send it into the group. I'm an American citizen, but I'm ethnically Chinese. I'm Taiwanese by heritage. So I'm this mixed global citizen, and I'm acutely aware of the American position in all this, right? Or the Western position, international Five Eyes position. And it's certainly very sensitive. And it's certainly, this will be viewed by the hawks in DC as China chain, and this is Huawei spying on the world. So I'm here to actually maybe demystify some of that kind of stuff, right? This is basic internet protocol. This is TCP, right? And you can build your cryptographic layers on top. So this is not something that China can just spy and do whatever. It's not like they have a skeleton key or whatever. You build it. They created the infrastructure like TCP, which, by the way, was a U.S. government, a DARPA project, right? It was militarized and eventually became the free world's internet technology. This is the same thing. China led, but basically it's just a framework for allowing people to interoperate with each other. You can still be on Ethereum. You can still be on, by the way, this is an interoperability protocol, kind of like Polkadot or Cosmos, in the sense that it's already connected to Ethereum. It's already connected to Hyperledger. It's already connected to EOS. You could be in that ecosystem doing all the decentralized things that you want, right? But at some point, you're going to have to interoperate with a company in China, right? Or EOS or whatever. And so now BSN becomes this interoperability protocol, which allows you to share this data in, I would emphasize, a trusted way, right? So, you still in the application layer can build all the things that would, prevent China or any nefarious actor, which by the way would include the West, to snoop on your stuff, right? So that's point number one: is the technology is not a Chinese surveillance snooping device. It's an infrastructure backbone which allow people to share. The second level question is, how do we get China to actually work well with the U.S.? Now, as you know, in And now, as you know, in China, in the U.S., basically as Republican talking points, you have to bash China. So I think we're in a mode where it's very hard to actually work in a more globalized fashion. But I think there's hope, in the sense that in the end, everybody's pragmatic. Okay, everybody wants to make money and be prosperous, right? And we can understand, say the West, or specifically U.S. response as a sort of prisoner's dilemma style, game theoretical sort of response, right? I need to undercut, someone else because I don't know exactly if they're trustworthy, and therefore, I need to be in a very aggressively the position, right? So I think, my retort to that is that yes, that exists. But the way to solve that question is by getting both sides to realize that there's a win-win scenario. And the prisoner's dilemma, for those that you don't know, it's is actually a well-known game theory sort of topic. And you have two prisoners who don't trust each other, so they end up screwing each other over. Is the moral of the story, right? They haven't, even though they could do better by collaborating, getting out of jail. They screw each other over because they don't trust each other, right? And that's what is happening. These Cold War era dynamics are prisoner dilemma type dynamics, right? So what I think needs to happen is think about what blockchain does with smart contract technology. If we gave it to those prisoners in those cells, I can lock my opinion on the smart contract. They can lock their opinion on the smart contract. I'd be like, if you screw me over, I'm gonna screw you over 10x, right? But if you don't, then I'm gonna try to collaborate with you, whatever. So I think there are new frameworks whereby we can get to win-win dynamics. And as an economic theorist, looking at crypto economics and stuff like that, how do we incentivize people to do that, right? I'm looking at how to use tokenization and asset-backed securitization to now create new frameworks where you can actually create public-private partnerships, as an example, where you can align public interest with private interest with public good, right? It's all about incentivization. If we can find a way where people make money, to boil it down a little bit more simply, let everybody make money in their private interest, but somehow create a framework of a setup so that in doing so, public good is also enacted, right? And also, the final piece is do so in a way where the West and China can live harmoniously, because they're both making money together. It's not Chinese SOEs going down Belt and Road, taking over ports and stuff like that, because that is distasteful, right? What about getting Western investment bank, the JP Morgans and Goldman Sachs of the world to work together with AIIB in development and infrastructure in third world countries, which by the way would solve financial inclusion problems and everything else, as well as COVID, and grow together as opposed to apart.
Hi, Michael. Here's Oliver.
Yes.
Okay. Hi. Thanks for this, and it's very interesting. We're in a multifamily office, an asset manager. We have Swiss roots, but we're also in Hong Kong, and we've done a lot of research about One Belt, One Road, about the initiative. We wanted to roll out even a fund around that topic. At one point, we had to stop in the progress because there's a lot of there were some issues, how the money will be distributed into infrastructure, etc. So what you're saying, it makes a lot of sense, because a lot of people, the interest is very strong in getting access to those markets, for sure, into Chinese markets, and the Digital Silk Road is definitely a fantastic initiative. It's nothing new. It's been in the discussions, as you know, with at Cyberport, with the UN conference and whatnot. So it's always been a great topic. But my problem is, and the question to you is, so as a private company working in this field, interested in collaborating with the ecosystem, not just on a private level, but also on almost like a government to government level. Which entity in China? It's been very difficult, you know. And one of the advantages in Switzerland, for example, is that it's very small, and you get to the right people, the decision makers, and to the lawmakers very quickly. Of course, China, it's a bit a different situation. Who has really the authority in China to say what are the regulations and how you can really participate and collaborate in, as you say, in this framework, in this Digital Silk Road project? Thanks.
Thank you, Oliver, for that question, bro. Nice to see you here. I'm actually, just as a side, I just did a scan of actually who's in the room. It's nice to see some catalysts and some other guys here. So thank you very much for supporting. I appreciate it. And thanks for that lob, Oliver. You know, I appreciate it. I'll pay you back later. Right? Well, I mean, I think it's like this. You know, the BSN itself is meant to be a very open protocol. Already, I'd be happy to share information, PM me or whatever. But basically, you know, it's already interoperable with a lot of, I would say, international conglomerates, right? AWS, Azure, Ali Cloud, you know. And there's a lot of consortium members on this. Everybody's just trying to, you know, leverage this. And in essence, it's supposed to be very open. So right now, you can go to bsnbase.com or global.bsnbase.com, and you can click on some stuff and actually order test tries of, you know, the cloud computing. You can literally click and choose AWS and get become a node on the network. You know, get basic AWS services. And by the way, those services are priced to be extremely low. It's like 3,000 renminbi per, not month, per year. So for $400 US, you as a SME can now go and do your e-commerce, blockchain as a service stuff. You know, eventually there's going to be all sorts of smart contract stuff. There's going to be a blockchain as a service app store, and you can actually go and get all the services that you need to do trade facilitation, cross-border payment, e-commerce, digital economy, what, you know, all the hooks, right? Open banking, all that kind of stuff. So the answer is you don't need anybody's approval. You can do that right now and go online. Now, what the opportunity though is, my interest is to be a little bit more impactful in the sense that right now, nobody is, like, we're at the ground floor, everybody's in. I had the benefit of having an early access to this kind of stuff, as well as all you guys. You guys are literally at the ground floor of getting in on this, right? So if you have some hardcore infrastructure that matters, right? Digital identity that, you know, you're better than everyone else. KYC, you know, digital exchange, digital wallets, custodial, you know, a tokenization platform, blah, 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 whatever, right? All of that is the market is just so new. And now we have this growth engine where you know it's going to scale everywhere in China. You know it's going to go everywhere in the world. And we have access, right? So if anybody has any of that kind of stuff, we can now position that strategically. That's what I do as a venture builder. It's about, you know, let's do, whoever has the world-class version of that, let's go and find a test bed in China or a test bed on Belt and Road. Let's put it together, and they're going to have, all these city governments are going to have to use BSN right now anyway, right? And because they're being, you know, told to, basically, right? And it's national strategy. But now we can draft on that huge wave, you know, because everybody's doing it, everybody's scrambling, trying to figure out what to do. And there's no right answer. It's not like they're dictating, you need to use this company or use this solution. That doesn't exist. So there's huge opportunity window within the next year, let's say, okay, while this is still getting set, where we can go in and be smart about it, right? Come in with the best solution, come in with a more integrated strategy, come in with, you know, the partners already aligned or whatever, and we can draft into this strategy and really be fundamental at, in my opinion, building the next generation internet for the whole world. The blockchainized version, the trusted version, the decentralized, not controlled by China version. China's just initiated it, is forming some of the backbone, right? but you can go and draft and do all of this and be a part, right? So I'm already talking to literally a dozen places, right? In Sri Lanka, in Bangladesh, and Pakistan. You know, we've already are having conversations, and these are the most, you know, each one of these countries I just said is a couple 100 million people, 1 to 100 million people plus, right? And these parts are the most devastated by COVID as well, right? And now we have a calling card saying, hey, we can build infrastructure and we can actually vertically integrate fintech solutions on top to give massive financial inclusion and give Western FDI or foreign FDI investment coming into your regions. Do you want it? And these governments are obviously going to say yes, right? So we have those openings, and now we just need the really capable influencers here who really want to make a difference to come and join the party, and then also figure out ways that we can actually collaborate. You know, we're all, you know, solo superheroes right now. Let's find a way to really start to synergize. Let's form a brotherhood. Let's go and just help each other out, even though there's no direct economic interest. But let's figure out a way to use tokenization so that we can actually, you know, align interests even more fully, so that if you win, I win, and I'm going to help you out and take your piece and build it into this infrastructure and system integrated solution for the developing world. Hey guys.
Awesome. Thank you, Michael. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Any other questions? Any other comments here?
I have a quick question. Are they going to be rolling out incentives to encourage developer teams from developing countries or from around the world to engage with this? Or is it really just offering lower prices to be getting involved?
Absolutely. The whole point is ecosystem. It's about third-party development. And actually, I'm working to roll out the third-party development portal in various countries as well. And so I'm interested in ecosystem building. If you're a third-party developer, a blockchain team, you're working with EOS, or you're just doing your own bespoke layer 2 thing, and now you want to have opportunity on, you know, let's talk, right? The goal here, to give you an example, you know, we're working in China Mobile. China Mobile and China UnionPay is responsible for the blockchain as a services network on top. So again, as I mentioned, there's going to be this blockchain as a service app store, if you will, where you can actually go, if you have something interesting to do, then people on the network will be able to, in a as a service way, you know, use your stuff, right? And so, and now I'm working. I can't release right now, but we're talking to smart contracts technologies, to scripting company. You know, basically we're creating the fundamental tools by which third-party developers will want to develop on top of this thing, and we fully support that kind of thing. And myself as a venture builder investor, if you have something cool and that can scale and you feel has a strong use case across different regions, then let's put together even maybe the investment and other things. You know, I'm looking very much to take world-class, best-in-class technology and accelerate in massive ways.